G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Well, Park, thank you so much for making the time to catch up. As I mentioned, looking forward to this conversation. I might kick it off by getting you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do.
Well, thanks for having me, Rob. I have been in the advertising, branding, marketing world for almost 40 years. And of those 40 years, half of that was spent running my own ad agency in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a small business. We were not some big, gigantic conglomerate agency. We had up to 20 people at one time. And I ran that for, like I said, 20 years. I really enjoyed it for 10 years. It was very traditional advertising, TV, radio, print, outdoor, direct mail, that kind of thing. But then it all changed. Our world turned completely upside down with the advent of e-commerce, social media. And like I told my clients, I said, it used to be that you all own the influence of mass media, but the masses have now become the media. And we have to understand and figure out, how do we hack through the noise out there and hook into the hearts of our ideal prospects that become the perfect customers for us? And so I went looking for an answer. And Rob, it was early 2000s, and I started really studying story. We had our middle child, our son Parker, was going to film school at Chapman University over in Orange, California, a very prominent film school. And I said, Parker, send me your books and recorded lectures when you're done with them, since I'm paying for them, because I want to know, what does Hollywood know about being competitive in the most competitive storytelling market in the world, the film industry? And that's when I started learning the story structures and frameworks, starting with the hero's journey down through the Pixar way, down to Blake Snyder's 15 beats to a story. And I started applying them in the advertising world and found them to be extraordinarily powerful. But they were complicated, and it was hard for our customers and our clients to understand how to use these multi-step processes. And because they weren't story theorists, they just wanted to make money. They wanted to move the needle. They want to grow their small businesses. And so through all of my studies, I found this one framework called the and, but, therefore. It's only 3 words. And I have learned that the ABT, or the and, but, therefore, is literally the DNA to storytelling. And by the way, it is the singular tool that enables you to hack through the noise and hook into that limbic brain, that primal pattern-seeking, problem-solving, decision-making, buying brain, using this framework of the and, but, therefore. So now all I do is consult, teach, coach, and speak on the power of storytelling, all starting with the ABT, and I do that around the world.
Great. Okay. Well, before we dive into this framework in a little more detail, tell me, who are the type of clients that come looking for your help, and why is it that they feel they need help from somebody like you, as opposed to what I describe as a traditional branding approach?
Well, great question. I really have 2 kinds of customers that show up. First, because this is a show for small to medium-sized businesses, I'm going to hold off on that answer in just a second. I'm going to talk about the big, gigantic corporations I work with: Dell, Intel, McCormick Spices, Banner Health. I can go on. And I'm typically Walmart Canada. I'm brought in to teach their internal people how to use, first starting with the and, but, therefore, and then some of our other frameworks, how to use them to become better communicators so that their messages land right the first time, every time, and getting them on board. And that takes the form of anything from keynote speaking to mastery courses, both in person and done virtually, to training programs to train them how to do that. All right, that is one group. I also have this other group of small to mid-sized businesses, typically very robust companies that they've got a good business model. They've got a good product service offering. They just don't know how to talk about it. And in some cases, they've spent the big dollars and done the overall branding and so forth. But most ad agencies don't really understand how to use the power of story to be able to make that brand roll. So I am brought in to say, Park, here's our brand guidelines. We're not looking to, do a new logo and a brand new website and all this stuff. We just need to know how to do a better job of talking about our business, our core offering, so that we differentiate ourselves from everyone else, all of our other competition. So that's a lot of my business these days is I'll go in and not rebrand them, but take the brand they have and really show them how to share that brand story with the world through the 3 proven frameworks that I teach.
Yeah, okay. So let's expand on that a little bit further. So what is the process that you would typically take a client through when you're helping them to think about this, and maybe expand a little bit more on the and, but, therefore framework that you use?
Yeah. Well, think about this, Rob. You've heard of the flywheel effect, right?
Yeah.
Jim Collins, famous American author, he introduced the concept of the flywheel effect back in 2000 in his book, Good to Great. And it is the idea of operationally getting your business up and running so that one thing begets another, begets the next thing, that speeds up the momentum of the growth of your sales, of the entity. Well, I do something called the storytelling flywheel. It's got 3 main spokes. We've all heard the sentiment that people buy from and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. So I call it the know, like, and trust flywheel. And I began first with that brand story. And I want to help the customer, and this is for all your audiences out there to be thinking about, what is the one thing you are known for? Meaning, what do you stand for in the world that makes you stand out amongst your competition? What is that one major problem that you are solving for people, and you do it better and more uniquely and more distinctively than anybody else? And then how do you communicate that to the world? That starts your know, like, and trust flywheel. Then the likability comes in through the stories you share about the impact you make in the world. And why I really want to emphasize that is bullet lists and lists of features and functions and how wonderful your product and service is not likable. Nobody cares. Where you become likable is when you really demonstrate to the world who you are, what you stand for, and the impact that you are making through the little anecdotal stories that you share about the people that you help. So essentially, your product or service is selling itself purely by sharing stories about the outcome. You become vastly more likable in the know, like, and trust storytelling flywheel when you do that. And then that final spoke is trust. It's when your customers come in and they start buying from you and they have success because you're delivering on the promises you made in those anecdotes that you shared to become more likable, that they now start sharing your story with their world. They are demonstrating the trust in you through their word of mouth marketing that does what? It feeds back to the top of the know, like, and trust storytelling flywheel, right? Now you are better known amongst this group. When they come in and they see your stories and the impact, you become more likable. When they buy your product and service and you deliver on it, they share their story with your story with their world and make you become better known. So you want to start with that known thing. That's where the and, but, therefore comes in, because it's a framework that makes you share your story from your audience's point of view. What's in it for them, and why is it important for them to, do whatever they want to achieve with your product or service? Then you insert the contradiction, but they don't currently have it because they haven't bought into you yet, right? Which leads to such and such frustration. Therefore, the way forward is by doing this with us, and we will show you, how when you buy into our product or service, how it's going to increase the betterment of your life, essentially. That's where this little and, but, and therefore framework comes in to get you super focused on the problem you solve for who's your number one audience, and what's the way forward. How do you solve that problem for them?
And sorry, I was trying to follow you there. What was the and bit referring to?
Yeah, let me break it down just a little bit more for you. And sorry if I lost you. I was got rolling there, and I thought, okay, where am I?
Yeah,
right.
I got most of it. I was just, as I was trying to write it down, I realized I didn't quite have it specific for the and.
Yeah. I want you to think about the and, but, therefore as the three forces of story. And what I mean by that, force number one is agreement. You're setting the stage. Who's your audience? What do they want relative to your offering? And why is it important to them? So you're priming them. You're getting them to picture this shared positive outcome. This is what their ideal state is that they want. The but is contradiction, but you don't have it. It's the plot twist because of this major roadblock or problem standing in your way. The therefore is consequence. Therefore, imagine when you get it, if you do this with us. Setup, problem, resolution, or agreement, contradiction, consequence, which plays to, again, that pattern seeking, problem solving, decision making, buying limbic brain. That's why the ABT is so unbelievably powerful. And it's this marvelous focusing tool. So it enables you to truly focus what your core unique value proposition is, what you are known for.
Got it. So another way, I mean, and but therefore is a nice, simple way to phrase it. Another way might be agreement, contradiction, consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, no, that's really making a lot of sense. And I think it resonates with some of the more successful sort of sales and marketing approaches I've come across, but I think this explains it a lot more simply. So it's a really neat way to boil it down. And I guess with that simplicity, it probably enables your clients to think about their messaging a little more clearly.
Yeah.
Which is, if I'm hearing you correctly, is exactly what you're trying to be able to help people do.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Rob. And a lot of people, I have had some people say, oh, the ABT is reductive and insulting. We need to get much more complicated and complex, when the exact opposite is true. Your whole job as a business owner is to make the complex simple, so people don't have to burn any energy trying to understand who you are and what you do and how you can help them.
Yeah, I must say I see that a lot with many of the clients that I've worked with over the years, is that they, after working with them, I can see how great their product or service is, but their ability to explain that quickly and simply to their target market is really holding them back. And they tend to want to tell their prospect clients every little detail about what it is they're doing, which just loses people in the process. But yeah,
you're trying to find that singular narrative. I was working with Home Depot, the big box retailer out here in America, and one of their sales guys asked me, well, Park, what's the shortest ABT you know? And I go, oh, that's simple. You communicate and care, but bore. Therefore, tell a story. Setup, problem, resolution.
Yeah, great. I like it. So, are you able to give us maybe a short case study of a client that you've worked with recently that you think may bring this to life for our audience?
Yeah. And it started as a small business to medium-sized business and has grown astronomically. His name is Andre Martin Hobbs, and he runs an auto dealership in Quebec, Canada, called Prêt Auto Parte. And I know I just totally butchered the French. In English, it means ready, car, go. And it's a used car dealership, not a regular big fancy car dealership. It's a used car dealership. Oh, and it sells cars to Canadians, at-risk buyers, like Canadians that have really lousy credit. And when Andre first came to me, I thought, this doesn't really sound like the purpose-driven brand. It sounds like you're a used car dealership, loan shark. Basically, you're going to sell a car to customers they can't afford. You're going to go and repo it after 3 months, wash, rinse, and repeat, because that's what they do in the U.S.
Wow.
And he corrected me. He goes, "No, Park, that's actually not it at all. We want to help Canadians get back on their feet. These are good people that have run into hard times. It could be because of the global recession back in the day. It could be a divorce, medical, costs, whatever. But these are good people that need to repair their credit. I have got a business model that I can sell them a used car before they buy it. They have to go through an up to 3-hour financial planning and training program with our staff, so that we can understand what their true budget is, what the car is they can actually afford. They might come in after this beautiful Chevrolet, but they can only afford this Toyota Prius because that's what's in their budget. That's the only car I'll sell them. We will follow up every month with them for the first several months to make sure their payments are going right. And in 2 years, if they successfully make their payments every month, then they will have repaired their credit sufficiently that they can come back and buy a different sort of vehicle or whatever they need in their life." So he said, "My auto dealership is not about selling cars. It's about helping customers repair their credit," which I thought was brilliant. So his and but therefore, we said, "All right, now let's get this super focus, Andre. We're going to put the word you in there." Now just picture that we are talking to you, the car buyer. You want the freedom of owning your own car and what it means to your lifestyle, but you have rotten credit. Therefore, repair your financial standing while driving the car of your choice here at Prate Auto Parte. So he's talking specifically to the car buyer with horrible credit that doesn't have a lot of options, and he's bringing it right up, but you got lousy credit. No worries, because we can help you get in that car. And Rob, it landed to their unique value proposition, the campaign tagline, Prate Auto Parte, your vehicle to financial freedom. They took that, they built their entire story off of that. They started then capturing stories of car buyers coming in while sharing the stories of all of the people that work there. None of them are car salespeople. They're all people that care about Canadians and financial planning and that kind of thing. Again, it's just a vehicle to help them, fix their credit. So they share those stories to become immensely likable in the market. People come in, buy the cars, go through the financial training and make their payments. They sing Prate Auto Partes, to the world. They just say, "These people are so unbelievable at what they did for me. They actually care." That makes them become even better known. So in a few short years, he was hoping to grow by 20%. He grew by 400%, became the fastest and largest growing car dealership in Quebec, Canada, and he is licensing his business model out now throughout North America. That's the power of getting super focused on we are your vehicle to financial freedom. Here's how we do it. Full disclosure, and the fun we have in the process of getting you back on your feet, in your wheels. And then here's what our customers say about the impact we're having in their lives, which makes them better known, more likable, even more trustworthy.
I must say, I even like those guys now, and I don't know anything about them, but you've sold me on them. So it sounds.
Andre told me that he had an elderly woman take a bus 8 hours across Canada because she had heard the Prate Auto Parte story. And she took a bus out there, did not have a car, obviously, and they lined her up. They got her finances in order. They got her in the right car, and she got to drive that puppy home.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Want specific advice to help you get your business through its #1 growth challenge? Book a free 20-minute growth chat with me, Troy, the founder of Grow a Small Business. I'll recommend some resources which will help you grow your business with ease so you can live the lifestyle you've signed up for. Go to growasmallbusiness.com and click on Growth Chat.
Now, look, I am going to push our time limit here, but we mentioned before we started recording, let's play around with this podcast. What would you suggest for this podcast?
I love this. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the ABT with how you can become extraordinarily known for something. And you probably already are, but let's see if we can even find a more precise way to articulate it using the and, but, therefore. All right?
Yeah.
So, and here's the order we're going to go in, and for all the listeners out there, get a pad and paper, write this down and use this for your own business, your own brand. So, Rob, I'm going to ask you to define or describe very, very quickly your number one audience. Who listens to this show? And be as specific as you can.
Okay, well, we generally define it as a small to mid-sized business owner that has between 5 and 30 employees who has ambitions to grow and improve their business more easily than just putting more hours into it.
And if they do that, what will the outcome be?
The outcome for them is living the lifestyle they deserve to live, given all they've put into their business.
Okay. So our and statement of agreement might be something like, you are the owner of a robust small to medium-sized business, maybe have 20 to 35 employees. And if you can really dial in your operations and sales growth, then you can experience the life you deserve. Statement of agreement. Okay.
Right.
But what's their major fear or frustration because of what problem? What is holding them back that you are going to help solve for them?
Well, it's a good point. Typically, there's a sense that I don't have enough time or I don't have enough capital to be able to do what I want to do.
And what does that lead to emotion-wise? Is that frustration, fear, anxiety? What would that be?
Yeah, look, all of the above, but it
Mhm.
usually starts with a sense of frustration.
Okay. But you're frustrated because you don't have the time and capital needed to spearhead, to ignite that growth you're looking for. Therefore, what do they get out of listening to this show?
So what we hope to do with this show is give them a little bit of an insight into some of the tools and techniques that might make growing a business easier without the time and capital impost that it could be a consequence if they do it the wrong way.
Yeah. And do they not necessarily have like a business consultant that they're paying for, that they're probably, a lot of these are entrepreneurs doing it on their own and they're just looking for a quote unquote free resource to be able to get more information?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah. Often. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've identified that, I might even move that up top in the statement of agreement. You know, you are the owner of a robust small to medium-sized business. And if you had the coaching you seek to become as efficient as possible, then you would have the growth that would fund the lifestyle you deserve. But you're frustrated and exhausted right now because you don't have that person in your corner, helping you to not make the mistakes so many other people in your same position have. Therefore, imagine our show as being your weekly consultant, where we bring on international experts that have been there, done that, and can help you 10x the growth of your company while 20xing the satisfaction of your lifestyle or something like that.
Beautiful.
So now what we're doing is we're really keying off the factors. They want all this stuff, but they don't have the guidance that they need to get there. Therefore, you've got these 20-minute segments in your podcast to help them, to be their resource.
I love it. Yeah, that's really nicely put. So, gosh, I'm going to have to listen to this podcast now. It's got some great nuggets of advice in it.
Well, I've got a podcast for what it's worth called The Business of Story. I've produced it for I'm in my 8th year. We've got 455 episodes in there, coming up on 455. And every week I bring on a story expert in the business world. A lot of them small to medium-sized business people teaching storytelling and marketing and content development and leadership development, people development, you name it, over and over and over again. And I do some of the shows myself too. I just on with my 450th anniversary episode, and it takes you deep through the storytelling flywheel. So some of your listeners would like to learn more about that. It's The Business of Story, 450th episode, and they can dive right into the storytelling flywheel and start, activating it for themselves.
Great. And tell me if there's one thing that our audience should take away from today's discussion, what springs out for you?
Let me underscore that question, that word in that question, one. I want your audience to be singular in their thinking. Who is your number one audience? Now, it's the old Pareto principle. 80% of your business is coming from 20% of your customers. That's typically one persona. I want you to identify who that is. One problem. A lot of people say, well, Park, I solved 9 different problems. And you may well do that. But I want you to get down to what is the core problem you are solving for your audience, and then find one singular narrative using the and, but, therefore that identifies their audience, what they want relative to your offering, and why that's important to them. But what's the frustration they're experiencing because of what problem that you're going to help them overcome? Therefore, what's the way forward? We call that a singular narrative because you're not solving 2 problems. You're not solving 3 or 4 or 5. You're solving one problem, one audience, one problem, one go-to resource, and that's you, the client, the brand.
I love it. Fantastic. And Park, just finally, if people are interested in this and would like to find out a bit more, you have pointed us towards your podcast. Do you have a website and social media?
Sure do. Best place to find me, businessofstory.com. I've got all kinds of resources there for people. You can find me there. There's also a contact form there if you'd like to reach out to me through that. Or I'm typically on LinkedIn more than anything else. You'll find me on Facebook and Instagram and kind of on X/Twitter, but LinkedIn is where I spend the vast majority of my time online. It's just Park, P-A-R-K, Howell, H-O-W-E-L-L, real easy to find there. Come and connect with me, and if you got any questions, shoot me a note.
Beautiful. Well, Park, thank you so much. Heaps of valuable content there, and I really appreciate your time. It was a great discussion.
Well, Rob, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Want to help other small business owners improve their business? There's one quick thing you can do, which is jump over to iTunes and leave a review. Or if you don't have an account, follow us on Spotify.